people. We can't have any standing there. The fire marshal gets unhappy. And then we need to make sure that at the rail we're all sitting down if we're hanging out over there. Also, if you parked in the back by accident on the gravel lot, either side of the building, then we need you to relocate your vehicle to the front lot, or students, you can go park at the barn, but that parking is for ag teachers and CTE staff only. So if you parked there, please remove your vehicle. KDPD will be here shortly, and they will move any vehicles who are not properly tagged. So please make sure that you are not illegally parked. Also, at this time, we're going to make sure that if you're in the back of the barn that you have the right credentials. That means that you have a wristband on from your school. If you do not have a wristband on, it is time for you to leave the back of the pavilion. Okay, that means parents and extras, we need y'all to come on out. We have to have a clear path to be able to move those steers to the arena. So again, if you are not properly credentialed with a wristband from your school, we need you to leave the back of the arena. Prayer?
No. Who's the prayer? I can do it if you need me to. I don't have anything prepared.
It's on here, April Gutierrez, but I guess there's no April Gutierrez.
That's me.
Are you the prayer?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, come on. You gonna sing or no?
Oh yeah, I'll go down.
All right, guys, it's straight up 8 o'clock, so we're going to get this last show started. First of all, welcome to the Katy ISD 2026 Steer Show. Anybody excited? I think they could be more excited. Don't y'all think? Y'all could be more excited, they said. Anybody excited? All right, we're going to end this show with a bang, and we're going to start it with some of our students out here leading us off the right way. So this morning, we're going to begin with Miss April Gutierrez from Maid Creek, and she is going to lead us in the prayer. And then Mr. Adriel Mora, also from Maid Creek, is going to lead us in the pledges. So, gentlemen, I'd ask that you remove your cover. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please prepare yourself for prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us here today. Thank you for allowing us to make it safe here. I pray that every exhibitor here today is proud with what they do today and what they do in this show ring. Lord, I pray that everyone continues to be safe, has a great day, and that everyone stays safe. In the heavenly name of the Father, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
And if you would please remain standing for the national anthem.
Put me on speaker. I need you to wait. That room do not. Well.
We don't have a child today, so we're going to play it for y'all. 1 second.
Please welcome the Texas Department of Public Safety Honor Guard. Here to honor America with the singing of the Star-Spangled Banner. Please welcome, from right here in Texas, multi-platinum selling recording artist, Cody Johnson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Special guest this morning. It's what we call pivot in the FFA world. All right, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we should be getting steers ready in the back again. One more time, I do need the back of the arena emptied out. If you are not properly credentialed, you need to not be in the back. So unfortunately, parents, we love you, but that means you. It's time to come spectate, okay? We do have a presentation that we're going to start with this morning. So we've got Mr. Brewer here from the Old Katy Originals, and they have an awesome award that they give to students each day to start off. So I'm going to turn it over to him.
Thank you very much, Ms. Reed. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? All right. Well, as Ms. Reed said, my name is Nathan Brewer. I am part of the Old Katy Originals Buyers Group. We started this about 6 years ago, where it's an essay contest where we're going to award one kid from each school a buckle. And this year, I have my 3 winners right here. Last 3. I've been doing this for a couple of days now. And I got to tell you, as parents, y'all ought to be very, very proud of the accomplishments these kids have done. And the things that we get to read in these essays is pretty amazing. It really is. And it makes the competition very, very tough for us. So let me go ahead and announce our winners. We have Aurelie Aguilar from Morton Ranch. I have April Gutierrez from May Creek High. And I have Jaden Moon Schneckeneichner from Cinco Ranch. Y'all give them a big round of applause. These ladies worked really hard for this. Let's get one more round of applause for these young ladies.
All right, so one more time, who's ready for a steer show? Yes, all right. Me too. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have 5 classes of steers today for you to watch coming in and out of this ring. And in just a minute, we'll get rolling. I think the show officially starts at 8:15. So you've got 7 minutes for a potty break. Grab your coffee. Get you something to eat for breakfast from the concession stand. Again, we would ask that you do just like these students. If you're going to be at the rail, they're doing an excellent job. We need to be down at the rail, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to keep the entryway free of clutter, okay? We can't have a congregation there. But I will tell you what we do have in the entryway. I'm going to talk about them throughout the day, but let's just get our first opportunity for you to go over. We have 2 of our buyers groups at the entryway. The friendly little spenders, and Miss Debbie's going to be over there. She's walking around somewhere, probably handling some business. And then we have legacy buyers, and we've got Kevin and Rusty over there right now. These buyer groups, guys, this is a great opportunity for you to participate in giving back to these kids, okay? I know, for example, my $100 doesn't go very far by itself, but when I give it to them, they make the most of it, right? Each of these groups have different functions. They have raffles, they have events, they have spirit nights. They are literally raising money all year long. I promise you, when the show is over tomorrow, they're back to work next week for 2027. So if you want to see how your money can go further, please go see them. Also, please, 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 students, go by and say thank you. If you give letters to these buyers groups, they are going to invest that money into you. So here's the perfect opportunity for you to not have to wait until after the auction or you get that check. Say thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get started right here on time. In fact, a couple seconds early. Oh, this is one final reminder. If you are in the back of the barn and you are not properly credentialed, please leave that area. These animals are very large, and our number one priority is getting them and their exhibitors to the ring safely. So we need you to make sure that that area is free from extra people. Thank you so much. All right, here we go. It's underway officially. 2026 Katy ISD Steer Show. Let's hear it. All right, so we are bringing in Class 1. Again, we're going to have 5 classes today. Ladies and gentlemen, in Class 1, these calves are going to weigh 962 pounds to 1095, all right? And we've got 8 exhibitors. Let's meet these exhibitors. From Taylor, Kayla Monroy Rinkin. From Maid Creek, Ivania Uribe. From Morton Ranch, Brianna Cargill. From Seven Lakes, Morgan Farmer. Jordan FFA brings us Campbell Callister. Next up, Justin Pister, Pato FFA. From Tompkins, Kyla Corey. And from Freeman, Miss Lily Avalos. Good luck to all of our exhibitors. Hand this over to the judge. All right, so speaking of the judge, let's meet him. Today we are pleased and honored to have Mr. Braden House as our judge. He is from Iola, Texas, a 6th generation cattleman specializing in purebred Charolais show heifers. He and his wife Nicole own and operate Big House show cattle full time. Braden is involved in every aspect of selecting and managing donors, recipients, sires, and sale cattle in all aspects of customer service. Big House Show Cattle is responsible for multiple major breed and supreme champions and some of the Charolais breed's most influential phenotype donors and bulls. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor. Please help me welcome Mr. Braden House. They brought Baby House with them. It's just not here yet. Mr. House said he's excited. They're going to have their child in March. So how about that? We also have a lovely young lady hanging out in the ring in her beautiful blazer. That's been the talk of the week, hasn't it been, Miss Hine? Her blazer. So if y'all need some fashion tips, she can help you out here. She knows all. Yeah, she knows all the places to get the really, really amazing blazers. But we're going to talk about her later, but just so you know what she's doing, she is out here watching how these exhibitors show their cattle. While Mr. House is exhibiting the cattle, she is evaluating the student, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to have you on the rail supporting these kids, but a couple of things. We need you down completely on the rail, seated or squatted so people can see over you. And number two, remember, these are some really large animals. Please keep your hands outside the rail at all times. Also, we don't need any sudden movements or hollering at the rail. We don't want to spook these cattle. So if you're at the rail, today is not the cheer zone loudly. Okay, we got to keep the craziness to a minimum over there. All right, guys. So we know you're there to cheer. If you want to cheer loud, we need you to go to the stands. Okay. All right. So today it's time for Cattle Show 101. All right. So for those of you who this is your first time and you're over there trying to hypothesize what's actually going on, let me give you just a quick little update. Mr. House is evaluating these animals, and he's looking for the most meat, right? These are market animals. So which one brings the most product? And he's going to talk more about that. But basically, he starts and he places them from the bottom, and he works his way to the top. And so he's going to take a second and talk to these kids, and then he's going to talk to all of you and let you know what he's doing and why he's doing it. All right?
We got our first class of obviously lighter weight steers in here, and I think there's the decision to be made on the top two. If you want to just say, you're good to set him up right there. If you want to sit here and talk just strictly carcass merit on these lightweight steers and want to switch them, I understand that. For me, I think the reality is if you're associated with the industry, none of them are big enough to get really just carried away on market essentials. I think we have an opportunity to set the standard right here in terms of balance and structure and just say, hey, he's a lightweight calf. He's not fully conditioned and ready to go to town today. That calf's skeleton, his look, his balance, his head's a little chubby. That's no big deal. His shoulder fits in good. He's got some heart and some forerib. The best thing about that calf is the muscle shape that he does have is very crisp, very defined. When you get up on top of him, he can get out and go. The cattle you guys are going to see win the classes throughout the day more times than not. If I can find a sound one that's good looking and has some shape, that's going to be your class winners, and that's where she sets the bar very high right here in our first class of these steers. The next calf, we pulled him, and I told her, I said, hey, in terms of just which one's the fattest, which one's the stoutest, the most kind of carcass-oriented calf, you can get on that one, and if that's the type you want to use, there is a place for that calf at the front end of the class. For me, he just wants to waddle and paddle. When you see me walk out of here on this concrete in these boots, me and him kind of walk the same speed in the same way. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but we do both get where we need to go at the end of the day, and that calf is too stout otherwise to beat him up just because he's not the most flexible and get him down any lower than second. When you get your hands on the calf here in third, I think he starts to really gain some fans. You can see you're directly behind me, got a big old ditch in his back, a lot of shape, a lot of product there, and he is one that I think kind of mirrors that class winner in terms of maybe the next most flexible. It said he's just a little hard throughout that kind of gets him in a bind, but his added muscle shape, added look of still having some quality and balance over the calf coming in next, as well as kind of his trimness and freshness throughout work to his advantage. This one can get around and go. This is a calf that's got plenty of belly shape and kind of easy feeding, practical look. He's not going to win every front end contest, okay? The judging team kids will want to see his neck tied in him different. I don't care that much about that. I'd like to fix him kind of right in behind his heart and forerib, see him maybe as stout as he is soft, but that kind of calf makes the world go around because he's sound and practical, low input one, just doesn't quite have enough punch and upside compared to the calf right up there in front of him. This steer's little. But he's really nice as well. He gets a little more vertical in terms of his shoulder and his knee than the ones that we got right there ahead of him in the class. And he doesn't quite have the same added bulk and muscle, where we talk about maybe compromising a little in terms of flexibility on the calf in second. He doesn't have that same added shape that we see on the one right there that goes in two. Hips just a little shorter, a little quicker, but that's a nice calf with some presence and some look. This lady right here, I will say this, we have a showmanship judge. I got full faith in her over there, but I do not want you to leave this ring and not know that you show that calf's flaws out of him very well. If you came in, you walked in the door, and you only saw that calf set up, he might go and need to win the class just parked. When he gets out and goes, his top line comes way out, kind of underneath him, gets a little ouchy there, but she does a great job of showing one that otherwise, besides his top line throwing him out of balance and maybe not quite having as much shape, she gets the most out of that calf that she possibly can. This one's shapely and he's stout. That's why he comes off of the bottom. For me, it is the added muscle and the added spread, but he gets just a little tubular in his body shape. Biggest red flag for me, though, is just kind of the way he handles his hind legs. He wants to stick them in the ground instead of flexing them. Calf weighing 1,000 approximately pounds, probably needs to just get out and go a shot better, but I like his shape. Great calf coming in next. That's a really good calf in terms of having some presence, some squareness, and a foundation to kind of lay on some product. He just runs out of that product today. Gets a little light down in his stifle and quarter, a little flatter in terms of his definement up top, but the young lady does a really nice job. I told him I think we got 6 ribbons per class, 3 sail holes. We're going to talk all of them because whenever I showed, I was down here where you guys are. I appreciate you guys coming. Both those steers have been taken care of and shown well, and I appreciate y'all bringing them out. We're going to talk all of them this morning in our steer show, and thank you guys for bringing them.
All right, let's get you some results as we get ready to get these guys out of the ring and bring in the next class, all right? So in Class 1, your placings. In 8th place, Brianna Cargill, Morton Ranch. Yes, let's hear it, guys. It's 10 months of work right here. All they're getting is a clap. In 7th place, Morgan Farmer, 7 Lakes. Morgan, you will be coming back for Showmanship. Yeah. In 6th place, from Tompkins, Kyla Corey. Kyla, you are also coming back for Showmanship. In 5th place, from Taylor, Kayla Monroy Recon. In 4th place, from Pato, Justin Pister. And your top 3 making the premium sale in 3rd, from Jordan, Campbell Callister. 2nd place goes to Lily Avalos Freeman. And your class winner from Maid Creek, Iviana Uribe. Yes, let's hear it. All right, we're going to let them restage in the back. Got to take a minute to get the calves out and then reload it to the front. Real quick, students, parents, we do drug testing in Katy ISD, animals. The animals, not the kids, the animals. So Grand and Reserve will be drug tested, and then in Class 4, the 3rd place steer will be drug tested. So at that time, we will need a parent for each of those exhibitors, okay? Also, real quick, we'd like to give a shout out to our show sponsor. Guys, without these sponsors, we would have a hard time being able to give out the awards that we give out and the recognition to these kids. So huge shout out to Slabworks for sponsoring the steer show today. Let's hear it for Slabworks, guys. If you're new to the show and you aren't aware, Slabworks is one of our biggest buyers as well. So thank you in advance to them. I know we'll see them here tomorrow, spending money, supporting your kids. All right, Class 2, cattle ranging in 1,100 pounds to 1,190 pounds. So it's a tight weight class, guys. Just making it a little bit harder on our judge, right? Let's meet our exhibitors. From Morton Ranch, Areli Aguilar. Taylor FFA, Aspen Folmar. And Katie Lewis. From Maid Creek FFA, April Gutierrez. From Cinco Ranch, Jaden Moon Shinnekaneichner. Coming to us from Seven Lakes, Mallory Morrison. And from Jordan, Gabriel Chagas. All right, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I need to make a slight correction. As Mr. House did a switcheroo on us all week, our judges have pulled from the bottom up, but he pulled from the top down. So we were all over here kind of tricked. But we're going to do whatever he's doing, so that's what you should be looking for today. Real quick, I'd like to introduce the beautiful ladies in the ring to you. So Katy ISD participates in what we call our Sweetheart program, and this is senior ladies that are in each chapter have the opportunity to represent their chapter here and pass out the buckles, the banners, the awards. So they wear these beautiful white jackets. And this morning we have two lovely young ladies with us, and let's meet them. All right, from Pato, Miss Gianna Rodriguez, give us a wave. Gianna is a 4-year member in her Pato FFA chapter. She's involved in livestock judging, dairy cattle judging, and shows pigs, and has a steer prince for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Calf Scramble. She plans on attending Texas A&M. We got to work on that, guys. To study animal science in the hope of one day being a bovine embryologist. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Gianna Rodriguez. All right. All right, coming to us from Jordan High School, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Reese Brelier. All right, throughout high school, Reese has been deeply involved in FFA, raising pigs and goats, and she serves as an officer in her chapter, demonstrating her dedication to leadership and agriculture. Her hands-on experience with livestock has not only been rewarding, but has helped her grow as both a student and a leader. Outside of FFA, she enjoys horseback riding and spending time with animals, a passion that has inspired her to pursue a career in animal science. We are excited to celebrate her achievements and watch her continue to combine her love for animals with her commitment to leadership and community involvement. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Reese Brelier. That's your time to clap, guys. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If you want, you can bring them around. And you're just going to kind of, oh yeah, right there. He's going to show you where you're headed. We'll start talking this one on the move because I think that's where this class starts to have some differences. Same kind of deal that we had in our lightweights. they're not big enough to get just real carried away and be willing to compromise structure and freshness, because none of them, to me, are really true industry standard big enough. That's why we got lightweight classes. This calf has the best foundation to lay on the product. He's got some look. That's great. I like his big, stout, square hip. I like his attachment of his chest and his brisket a little better than the guy that we got going in two. And I think both of them, neither has like just the biggest, stoutest hind leg in the world. He does use his just a little better than the red calf there in two. If you want to beat on him, say, where could that calf be better? Similar to the steer that won our previous class, he needs to fill that frame and that foundation out to make him perfect. But I think that one's lines, balance, and his crispness, coupled with his structure, getting the most upside when you evaluate where he's headed, and that's why he needs to win this class. There is a big, stout one second there. That calf's got plenty of belly. He's got plenty of condition. Maybe not quite just as much top shape as you would imagine. You can see he gets a little weaker in his loin, and maybe one that I would exchange just a little of that added condition and maturity for a shot more freshness and true genuine muscle shape. Biggest deal that knocks him into two, because I loved him when he came in the class. He just paddles off his front end a little harder than the calf that we got standing there in the front. But a nice steer with a lot of just kind of market ready pieces and soft parts attached to him that make him one that you have to like. There's a toss up. What you want to do here, this calf structure is not good enough to get him up in the top two, but his look and his balance and his shape, and the biggest thing about him is heart and forerib just all pieced together quite a bit better than the high tie-in, neat looking one standing there right in behind him. If you want to just sort them on structure alone, there's a conversation to be had about trying to switch those two, but for me there's too much power, too much seamlessness and completeness, kind of just proportion out on that calf to get him up any lower than where we got him in three. He needs new knees, and he needs new hocks to make him a class winner, but you've done a really nice job getting the most you can out of that calf. This one's long neck. Good about his kind of chest and his presence there. He gets a little weaker up top. That's your high value stuff there in terms of retail product. And he just gets a little flatter up top, gets a little broke down behind his shoulder. You read that calf's head, you read the way that he carries his top. I bet he's bloated a couple times in his life, and I bet he's just a little harder doing one that she got some inputs and getting him to this point. She has done a great job of doing that. Give her a round of applause. That kind of steer is not easy to manage, but he's good looking, and she's done an awesome job with him. There's no shortage of stoutness and shape and boldness on the calf coming next. It comes at the expense of him wanting to push his shoulders out just a little farther forward, and he doesn't quite match up in terms of balancing the bone work with the muscle and the show steer presence he has. Soften him up, flex him out of his front end a little different. I think you got one to be really excited about there, but his added shape gets him up off the bottom in a competitive class. Then we got two steers that kind of round the group out. It goes without needing to be said, they're maybe the frailest ones in terms of muscle shape and power and substance. There's a little more attractiveness and freshness about the calf that we got off the bottom of that bottom pair, but for me, make him a player, you've done everything you can. I told her his skin and hair is awesome. She does a nice job of showing him, just got to be a little more punch attached to that steer in terms of market steer essentials. And we round out with the calf that's a little more of the same. You can echo those same kind of sentiments. Great job of getting him fed, great job of getting him shown. He just wants to push his shoulder and chest a little farther forward and doesn't quite match it in terms of the stoutness that he lacks there in his stifle and quarter. Very competitive class. Big congratulations there to the old son in the front with the high quality black steer to win it.
All right, so a tough class for our judge. Let's get you the results. In 7th place from Seven Lakes, Mallory Morrison. Taking home 6th place, Katie Lewis, Taylor FFA. In 5th, Aspen, Fulmar, Taylor FFA. Aspen, you will come back for Showmanship. In 4th place, from Cinco Ranch, Jaden Moon Schneckeneichner. Jaden, you will be back for Showmanship. Your top 3 making the premium sale from Morton Ranch. In 3rd, Areli Aguilar. Areli is also coming back for Showmanship. 2nd place, April Gutierrez, Maid Creek FFA. And your class winner from Jordan, Gabriel Chagas. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware, the reason that they clap so hard when we say they're coming back for Showmanship is here we reward those students for their showing ability as well. So while the top 3 make the sale, Showmanship also makes the sale. So when we evaluate those calves later, those exhibitors that become grand and reserve in Showmanship will have earned themselves a spot in the sale as well. So while they might be out right now, they have a second chance to get themselves a hole in that auction tomorrow. So it's a huge deal here in Katy ISD. We put a lot of emphasis on Showmanship, and we want to make sure those kids are rewarded for the time that they put in at the barn. All right, let's welcome Class 3 in the ring. These calves are only 50 pounds difference, 1,200 to 1,250 pounds, ladies and gentlemen. These guys are getting bigger, but the weight range is getting smaller. All right, so bringing us from Taylor FFA, Miss Mackenzie Folks and Logan Dozier. From Katy, Andres Medina and Gabriela Rios. From Cinco Ranch, Savannah Bordeaux. Tompkins FFA, Nicholas Loftus. And from Pato, Isabel Wachter. As these guys get set, quick reminder, if you're down on the rail, please stay down on the rail. Also, this is not the cheering zone, guys. We want to be not making any fast movements. We don't need to be hollering down there. Those animals don't need to be spooked. You wouldn't want 1,200 pounds coming at you, okay? So let's make sure down there we're not being loud or making any sudden movements, okay? If we want to cheer, let's be in the stands for the steer show, okay? Do want to take this opportunity to let you know, moms and dads, if you are looking for those ring photos, if you're looking for the action shots, Mr. Copeland is our photographer. He's out here making sure he's getting some pictures of all of your kiddos. You can find those photos at thephoto.outlet.com. So if you want to head on over there and take a look at what he's got to offer, that's a great place. You can pick up those digitals and print what you want. So he makes those accessible, and I think he gets them out pretty quickly after the show. So don't miss your opportunity to have those memories and put them in those photo books. TheOutlet.com. Again, we want to thank Slabworks for sponsoring our steer show today. They're a huge supporter of our livestock show and auction. You can find them on the champion buyers list every year. So make sure that you are thanking them when you see them. I know Mr. Jones was here yesterday hanging out for the pig show. So not only do they support, they show up, and then they come and they spend their money. Speaking of spending money, also don't forget, take the time, ladies and gentlemen, go by and see the buyers groups. Go visit Debbie with Friendly Little Spenders. Go over, I see Kevin's over there with Legacy Buyers right now, and somebody else is waving from the back. Might be JoJo, I can't see, but these buyers groups are here to support your kids. They have no other reason except that they love your kids and they want to give back and they want to pool money so that can go the furthest and really, really help your kids in the end. So make sure that you're stopping by, seeing how you can participate, and just say thanks. Also, the concession stand is open, and today will be your last day to be able to get the amazing fries with the pulled pork, so don't miss that opportunity. I hear that that's the biggest hit, and I heard the chicken tenders were really, really good too. Yeah.
All right, if you are responsible for either one of the top two in this class, I hope you know how close that pair is and that it truly can go either way. There's a couple differences for me that sort that gray calf to the top. I think in terms of just carrying his muscle down a shot lower and giving you a little more punch, he does that, but he's also quite a bit fresher, a little more attractive. The biggest deal is he keeps his front end alignment into him better when they get out and go on the move. The calf that we got into, when those cattle come at you, you can see him kind of breaststroke and paddle and get just outside of his skeleton. If you're right behind me, you can see it's not that he's straight in his knee necessarily, but he just wants to kind of handle it a little farther forward pushing than the calf that we got winning that class. That's two steers that set the bar clearly the highest in terms of body shape. Presence, they're both, I think, well within bounds in terms of their structure, but the added body cavity and just curve of their rib on both of those two steers, what gets him up in the front over the calf in 3. He's got the biggest feet and legs maybe of anyone that you've seen it just in terms of single traiting him on bone size. For me, I'd like to see that calf shoulders set into him just a little smoother, more seamless, see him a little more square up top and just maybe softer throughout. But he's got a big stout frame, good looking in terms of his presence and quality there. And just everything about him compared to those top two is just a little coarser and maybe a little more uncoordinated in terms of keeping him tracking wide from behind there. This calf, we move in kind of a section there in the second half of this class where it's structure, right? That knocks this calf into where he is at. You like his body shape, though. A good showman out in front of him. Square-made calf that's got plenty of condition for this stage in the game. I say that in a positive way. It's his knees and his hocks. Just get him in a bind. He wants to kind of paddle out of his knee and stab his hock. But his added softness, the fact that there's just a little more shape and product over the one coming in next do work to his advantage. If this calf could just get his hind legs in order and get out and go like an athlete, there's a place to probably try to move him up. He's got a shot more shoulder than the one right there in front of him, and he's just not quite coordinated enough on his hind end to talk about making him a big-time player. And then you got two here that round the class out. Their wheels just get him in a bind, and that's a sort there on structure. But I told him among that particular pair, the young lady that we got leading that duo off does have one that's got a little more to him, a little stouter featured, softer made calf that's closer to his end point there. But we do have to get probably a new set of tires on both of those cattle to make him a player. Really youthful, attractive, fresh one here that rounds this class out. Kid does a great job with him, just gets a little too uncoordinated to make him come up off the bottom there.
All right. Class 3 results. 7th place from Taylor, Logan Dozier. In 6th, Gabriela Rios, Katy FFA. 5th place, Savannah Bordeaux, Cinco Ranch. 4th place, Isabel Wachter, Pato. Your top 3 making the premium sale from Tompkins, Nicholas Loftus. 2nd place from Katy, Andres Medina. Andres, you will be coming back for Showmanship. And your class winner from Taylor, Mackenzie Folks. Mackenzie, you will also be back for Showmanship. Congratulations. And we also want to take some time to thank our ring cleaners, Mr. Ellisor, Mr. Shimmick out here. It's nice when those calves have a nice place to step, and they're doing a great job of keeping that ring clean, so we do appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Yeah. And Mr. Shimmick's got a broken one. He's real passionate. He's breaking things over here. Maybe we could see about getting a new one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Class 4, we've got 7 exhibitors, and these boys are getting a little bigger. 1,255 pounds to 1,310. All right. Getting them lined up outside the arena, making sure everybody gets in. It takes a while to get them out, and then passing in the 2-lane zone back there is not the best idea. As a reminder, if you are class third place, in this class, you will need to go to the drug testing area and you will need a parent with you. Let's meet the exhibitors. Coming to us from Seven Lakes, Layla Lamb. From Katy, Jaden Hamilton. And Taryn Barker. Cinco Ranch FFA brings us Maria E. Lyra Paludo. From Taylor, Olivia Dangerfield. Pato FFA brings us Tyler Sines. And from Tompkins, Tori Lapman.
As we get our next class here sorted out, the yellow cat that comes to the front, he does so because he's the closest one to fault-free. He doesn't have a whole lot of accessories in terms of extra muscle, extra wow factor, and things that just kind of stop traffic when you drive by him. But then you really look at that steer and you break him down. He's got the skeleton that would permit him to lay on some muscle. He's got some belly. He's got some shape. His color kind of throws him off there a little bit. There's enough product on that calf to talk about him winning when you factor in the fact that his feet and legs are just quite a bit more flexible and closer to ideal for me. Kid does a nice job of showing him. I think just a basic calf that if you're going to describe him among his contemporaries out here, he's the closest one to fault free, and that's why he needs to go ahead and win. Nothing crazy, and I get that. If you want crazy pieces, tie in that red one. And it takes a lot for me to take a steer that maybe struggles on the move as much as that guy does and get him all the way up in a second. But I will also tell you, there's people that would use that calf to win this class because standing still, so if you're recording this, standing still, that is the best calf that has come through here so far. When they move, he just gets himself in too much of a bind, and that is why he's in second. His hind leg wants to get outside of him, and he wants to just stab it and plant it and kind of roll his hip to go with it. Great job. And that is where I would change that calf. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas, right? But I want you to know you've done a great job at getting the most out of a calf that is awful high quality whenever he's parked. His feet and legs just let you down, but don't lose sleep over that because that young lady deserves a round of applause, and she's done a very good job with that calf. The gray steer coming in next, he doesn't quite balance up from his chest to his flank, maybe the same way that the steers ahead of him. Great job. The steers ahead of him in our class have done. Maybe he gets a little flatter in terms of his heart and forerib and just his body cavity throughout. But I think of the next group, his hip is set into him just a little closer to ideal than the one right there behind him. And I do think there's an added shot of freshness and presence there about that steer's front end. Nice job of getting him presented and shown. I think he fits the mold of the cattle that we got ahead of him in the class. Just doesn't quite balance up good enough in terms of his underline, maybe have enough expression hanging off of him. Great job to this young lady. Kid here does a really nice job. He had never gotten a bad look at that calf. The whole time he's been out here, he had him parked and set up in the makeup area over there. I see those things, and I appreciate the fact you can tell he's all in and gets the most out of this particular steer. That calf, when he's parked and propped up, the showmanship works to your advantage. When he gets out and goes, he wants to swing his hind legs, roll his pins, and it gets a little more opened up right in there behind his shoulder without bringing us the same kind of shape as the steers that we got placed ahead of him in that class. Pick his chest up, pull his crest down, see him handle his hock a little different, probably got you a class winner. But either way, you got a really good showman there, and I appreciate everything he's done to get that calf to this point. It is, you bet. This calf coming in next, he gets just a little ouchy on the go, particularly up high. He wants to get just a little bound up, wants to push his shoulder and knee farther forward than the calf that we got leaving. If you want to switch him because he's expressive, I get that 100%. In terms of having the power and the density, you like those things. We got to pick that calf's pins up, pull them out maybe to match the width and the expression that he has everywhere else, and remodel his chest and crest, I think, to make him a player. But his added body shape, boldness, work over the calf that comes in next. This one gets just a little lower tie-in. In terms of the way that his head, neck, and crest come together, not maybe as coordinated on the move or as close to fault-free as some of the others, but he does balance up. When she gets you a really nice look of him, you can kind of forgive that he's maybe inverted in his stifle and quarter, flatter there than the steer that we got leading the ring. Nice job on getting him presented and shown. And the young lady coming in next, this one's just, he's too skinny and green compared to his buddies out here. Nice looking calf, got some extension and some stretch. He gets his feet and legs where they need to go when you ask him to get out and move. Everything's just a little harder, a little more immature and flatter compared to his contemporaries, but that steer is a nice calf that she's done a great job with. Thank you guys for bringing him in. Congratulations there to the young man with the yellow steer in the front end of a competitive class.
All right, your Class 4 results. Let's get ready to give it up for these kiddos. In 7th place from Seven Lakes, Layla Lamb. 6th place goes to Taryn Baker. Katy. Feel like everybody's at the concession stands. I think we can give a little bit more excitement to these kiddos, guys. That's all they're getting leaving the ring. 5th place, Maria Lyra Paludo, Cinco Ranch. 4th place from Katy, Jaden Hamilton. Jaden, if you can hear me, you're coming back for showmanship, buddy. Your top 3 getting a spot in the auction tomorrow. Miss Olivia Dangerfield, Taylor FFA. Olivia, you're getting the double trifecta here. You also are back for showmanship, and your animal needs to go to the drug testing area. You won it all, Olivia. Second place from Tompkins, Tori Lampman. Tori, coming back for showmanship. And your class winner from Pato, Tyler Sines. So while we're getting ready for Class 5 to get up here, we do like to acknowledge when people show up to watch the show and see what we got going on here at Katy. So ag teachers, if you see any of your administrators out here, please make sure you let me know so that we can give them a wave. We would like to recognize some people that I see in the crowd, the familiar faces. We got ag teacher from Waller over there, Mr. Ralph Stokely, come out to give a look at the Katy ISD show. Thanks for showing up. I've got the CT director from Royal, Mr. Nick Gonzalez. He's over here. Came to see what we got going on in Katy. So thank you to those people who come out to support the show. Isn't that Mike Jones over there? Where's he at? I want to grab a hold of it and pull hard. All right, we also, again, we would like to recognize our steer show sponsor, Slab Works. In fact, Mr. Jones hanging out over there on the rail. Mike, you want to give a wave? He said, I'm out. I got to go. He doesn't like the recognition like that, but we can't tell you how much we appreciate you on so many levels. So thank you for being here. All right, this is it. Class 5, ladies and gentlemen, it's our last class of the day before we head into the drive. We have 7 exhibitors bringing us the biggest calves, 13-15 to 15-15. All right, let's meet these guys. So, coming to us from Taylor FFA, Isabel Anderson. Karis Collins and Carson Weisenborn. From Katy, Chloe Saucier. From Seven Lakes, Matthew Shim and Heather Buitrago. From Cinco Ranch, George Ulrich. One more reminder on the rail. We need to keep all our hands and fingers inside or outside the arena. And this is not the scream zone, okay? Boys and girls, I know y'all do a great job of supporting your chapter mates out here in the arena, but this is not the place for the hollering, okay? We don't need a 1,500-pound calf taking anybody down. So if you want to cheer, you need to be in the stands, please. All right, so we'll do Steer Show 102 now. As we round out Class 5, for those of you who are kind of new to this, after Mr. House places this class and these animals are dismissed, we're going to bring back a group of animals, and that's going to be the ones that placed first and second in their class, and they're going to be in what we call the drive. All right, so we're going to pick a grand champion from that out of the first place from each class. Whichever steer ends up grand champion, the second place in that class will get to move in to the spot to have a chance at the reserve champion title. So that's how that works. And then when that's all done, all those kids that we've been saying, you're coming back for showmanship, Miss Hine is going to take the ring, and she's going to evaluate those kiddos on how they get those animals set and how they exhibit them. And so that'll be our showmanship class. And that'll be the end of it for the day. Exhibitors, a reminder, if you have made the auction meeting, it is at 11 a.m. If you are not present for the auction meeting, you are not in the auction. So if you know someone who's supposed to be here at that meeting and you haven't seen their face yet, you might reach out, make sure they're not oversleeping, make sure they get here, because missing the auction meeting means missing the auction. For those animals that didn't make the auction, Katy ISD offers those kids the opportunity to be in the barn sale. Those prices are set. Animals go for a specific dollar amount, but at least it gives those kids the opportunity to get back what their initial investment was so they can start their next project. So ladies and gentlemen, you might not be able to come out here and spend $2, $3, $5, $10, $30,000 on an animal, but you sure can help a kid out by checking out that barn sale. Some of those projects are from $100 or $75 for horticulture and floral, all the way up for these big animals to, I think, $3,200, right? So lambs and goats and pigs are a little less. But if you're looking for some meat to put in your freezer, I promise you this is better grown and it's overall a better price. So if you've got that ability, support a kid, check that barn sale list and get you an animal. So as we round out this class, as a reminder, we're going to be getting our first and second place steers ready in the back because we'll roll right into the drive as long as Mr. House doesn't need a break. He says he's ready. Okay, also he's going to start talking this class, and we'll move on to our drive.
We kind of talked it in another previous class. There's 2 steers in here that are very good, guys. I mean, you can kind of go either way depending on just how committed you are to ride and die on structure and flexibility. This calf in the front, if he ain't sound enough for you, I get it. I mean, if you've been to any of the shows I have ever judged, Jenna's probably a close second, but I would say I am the structure police. He's sound enough for me at 15 and a half to be way good enough to go ahead and talk about trying to win a market steer show. And if he's sound enough for me, newsflash, he should be sound enough for anybody because I'm as critical as they get. That calf is not maybe just the most flexible one. He is so stout. He's so complete, so dimensional, and he does get them where they need to go. Nothing cracks and snaps or swings when he goes. He doesn't maybe just quite hit his track every time. If I weighed 1,500 pounds, I wouldn't either. Hell, I weigh 200, I don't even hit my track every time. You do a great job of showing him. Why does he win? You could fit the calf in second inside of him. I'm not talking about he wins because he's the biggest. I'm talking about he wins because he's the biggest featured and the stoutest, and he has the most product and most shape, and he does it in a plenty sound enough, certainly soft enough package. And that kid does a great job of getting him shown as well. Calf in 2. He comes in, and he's closer to the 1350 range, which if it was a perfect world, I kind of like him in there. You can see he's right on the money in terms of his maturity. The calf's still fresh enough and attractive enough, but he's also laying on some condition and showing you that he's getting to his end point there mobility-wise. In terms of just single trade him on flexibility, he does probably have an advantage there, and that's why he gets very, very competitive. He just not quite as punchy, not quite as stout and dimensional. A really good calf to go second behind a heavyweight steer that just kind of swallows him up in terms of dimension and shape and doesn't do it at the expense of his structure. This calf is soft. He's nice looking. He doesn't maybe quite have the big burly rugged structure underneath him as some of the others. He, of the top 3, is probably the narrowest. When you get in behind him, he's better in terms of the way he's laid on his finish, both behind his shoulder and on the top side of his shoulder than the calf coming next. This one's long bodied. He's attractive. There's things that you can kind of look at and see he's almost really, really good. We got to change his top line though, probably change his crest, maybe see him just come at us a shot smoother, but feet and legs are awesome. Showman, great job. Flexibility of the calf is certainly on point. That calf's always going to be competitive. He just got a couple holes that get him in the bind, starting the way that his shoulder is wired up. The black calf coming in next, very market-oriented kind of a steer. He's not quite stout enough at the ground, not quite flexible enough in terms of his mobility to talk about switching him over that red brockle-faced calf, but just in terms of smooth, stout finish and market essentials, he does a lot of things right. Maybe he just runs out of steam down low and maybe not quite as flexible as some of the others. His body shape does help him over this red calf coming in next. Calf's a little deeper in his chest than he is in his flank, and he gets a little flatter for me in terms of his hip and his rump and muscle pattern than some of the others. Nice job of getting him shown, though. Good finished steer that's got good skin and hair and a good showman in front of him. Just maybe not quite balanced up and deep enough to make him a player. And then we round the class out with one that we kind of talked about before on these steers at the bottom of these classes. It's certainly not a showmanship deal. It's not a quality or a feeding deal. He just gets a little tighter and more restricted in terms of his belly shape, a little too flat in terms of his muscle. But I hope this young lady that's finishing out this very competitive class has had as much fun with that steer as I've had working with her in all the other classes that we've had today. Give her a round of applause. I'm glad she's here and looking forward to seeing a very competitive champion drive here shortly.
All right, so we have our placings in our final class. Let's give it up for these kiddos. From Taylor, 7th place goes to Karis Collins. From Katy, 6th place goes to Chloe Saucier. In 5th, Heather Buitrago from 7 Lakes. 4th place, Matthew Shim, 7 Lakes. Your top 3 joining us on the auction block tomorrow. From Taylor, Isabel Anderson. Isabel, you are coming back for showmanship. 2nd place from Taylor, Carson Wiesenborn. And your class champion, Mr. George Ulrich, Cinco Ranch. George, you're coming back for showmanship. All right, while we get these class winners lined up out here, I do see some faces that we'd love to say thank you to for being here today. I know he was here yesterday also, Mr. Justin Graham. He's a tall cowboy in the corner. He is heads up the Katy ISD legal team, so we appreciate him coming out to the show. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, he'll be here tomorrow as well. Also, I do want to shout out to Mr. Lance Engling, guys. If y'all know anything about our show, it's a draw show. We've got breeders that provide animals, and that's it. All they got to do is drop them off and say good luck. But I promise you, Mr. Engling has been here every day watching these shows. He's invested in how your product turns out. He's not going to drop off these animals and then be like, oh, well, I'm taking my check and I'm going. Thank you, Mr. Engling, for being here and supporting these kiddos. We sure do appreciate you. All right, one last time, guys. If you're on the rail, we need to keep our seats, and we've got to keep still and quiet down there. We don't need any animals getting loose. Y'all have done a great job, so thank you. Also, if you're standing in the foyer area, hopefully you're visiting with the friendly little spenders or you're visiting with the legacy buyers, but we do need to keep that area, the middle section, open, all right? All right, we're going to bring them in and we're going to remind you who we've got in the ring. Coming at us in first place from Class 1, Maid Creek FFA brings us Iviana Uribe. From Class 2, from Jordan FFA, Gabriel Chagas. Your first place in Class 3, Miss Mackenzie Folks, Taylor, FFA. Class 4, Tyler Signs, Pato. And Class 5, George Ulrich, Cinco. Now again, all these first place cattle have a chance to walk out of here with the title of Grand Champion Steer. Second place will move in to the spot of the champion. So we may not see all of them lined up. Let's make sure we give these guys a round of applause for being out here. Second place from Freeman, Lily Avalos. Class 2, April Gutierrez, Maid Creek. Class 3 from Katy, Andres Medina. From Class 4 and the Tompkins FFA chapter, Tori Lampman. And from Class 5, Carson Wiesenborn, Taylor FFA. Isn't this exciting? So much fun. It's the last show of the day, guys. I do want to tell you, tomorrow, Hallmark has decided it's the day of love, right? February 14th. And if you're like me, I don't commercialize that. I'd rather tell everybody I love them every day of the week. But what a great way to be able to show love for everybody by being here tomorrow at this auction. These kids have put in work for anywhere from 6 weeks to 10 months on these projects. And I can't think of a better way to show people you love them than to come out tomorrow to the auction.
You're an excellent saleswoman. But she's while we're thanking everybody and showing them how much we appreciate them, she did skip a very important detail. That would be the ag teachers and administration that are responsible for hosting something like this. Give them a round of applause. It can be the cheering section over there. If y'all want to clap too, now we get them wrapped up out here. As someone, an outsider coming in, I mean, the facility, the way that the show is organized, the structure that you guys have, it is very, very special. And I know that if you're a kid showing, you can't possibly understand just how much effort and time and money that goes into facilitating something like this, or that your parents have put into helping make it possible. But one day you guys are going to get old like me, and you're going to look back and say, man, those ag teachers really did do a whole lot to help me. My parents really did a whole lot to help get these things funded and these projects going. So if you're a parent or you're an ag teacher, I know I'm speaking on their behalf. Thank you for everything that you guys do in order to give these kids the opportunities like this that we see today. In terms of the steer show, whenever I was a kid showing, I was probably not probably, I'm telling you right now, I was not in champion drives like this. I was leaning on the fence somewhere watching these champion drives. And as a kid, kind of hoping that one day you could be in it as an exhibitor. Well, that obviously didn't work. Then you maybe could be in it as a breeder and a judge. And we've been lucky to be in that spot. But where I'm going with this is if you're one of the kids that's leaning on the fence and you're considering showing, you should probably do it. If you're one of the kids on the fence that does show, maybe your steer was second or third, maybe third, fourth in his class, and you didn't make it out here, keep leaning on that fence and keep wanting to come out here and do this, because I'm here to tell you, and Jenna will testify, no one was a bigger loser going up than me. If I can get out here, you guys can too. And that's what this is ultimately all about. So if you're the kid that leans on the fence, don't go anywhere. There's a place for you out here. As far as the steers and the judging goes, there's a million different kinds of steers. There's a million different ways you can sort them. And not everyone's always going to like, where they may have placed, or maybe they had a steer that they felt like didn't do what they had hoped. My goal when I leave here is not that you say, he saw him exactly like me and he placed every one of them how I would have done it. My goal when we leave here is that you guys as kids and the parents that are responsible for them know that I care a whole lot about your kids and that they got a fair shake, and that when you leave here, you can see there's at least a type and kind to the best of my ability to get steers out here that have some freshness and some look, especially in our lighter weight classes, a huge priority placed on structure and balance. As we get to our bigger steers, we kind of had a crossroads here in class 4 where we said, hey, that calf's pretty close to fault free. There isn't enough to him. And then there's a red steer back there in the back that's got plenty, maybe too much to him. They kind of get impedes in his structure. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, it's a good thing we got a 5th class, because we got some lightweights that aren't quite ready, and our middleweights are kind of a toss-up. They're both on different ends of the spectrum. And then these two come in. And my life got a whole lot easier and a whole lot simpler. They're not here because they're the 2 biggest steers here. So please do not get that mixed up. They are here because in terms of combining stoutness, enough structural quality, enough look, and 2 kids that get the most out of them in terms of showmanship, that's where they kind of ran to the front end of that heavyweight class. To be honest with you, that class was tougher than this drive. They run away with this class. There's a lot of really good steers here. It is not close which 2 are the best 2. Congratulations to both of these 2 young men on an awesome job, and thank you guys so much for having me.
Your grand champion steer for the 26 show, George Ulrich, Cinco Ranch. And your reserve champion, Carson Wiesenborn, Taylor. Congratulations to everyone in the ring. Thank you. Guys, give it up for Mr. House. What an amazing job he's done today. Can we hear it one more time for our judge?
Shake his hand. Lily.
So exciting. So exciting. But we're not done. We're going to let these guys get out of the ring, and then we're going to get everybody lined up for showmanship. It's going to take a couple minutes to get everything cleared, get the ring cleaned up from the poop, and then we'll get started. All right, we're going to get started with showmanship, and so let's take the time to properly introduce our judge as we get started. She's been out here working the whole time, and now she's going to give these kids one more chance. So Miss Jenna Hine comes to us as a 2019 graduate of Texas A&M. There you go, with a degree in ag science. She was named on Purple Circles magazine 30 under 30 list in 21 and 22 for her developments in youth development across the agricultural industry. Jenna currently resides in Sealy, Texas, where she and her family operate Higher Up Cattle Company, a Simmental-based operation that focuses heavily on the junior program, along with working for Ranch Hand Analytics, a data service company that works with seed stock and commercial cattle breeders across the country. In addition, she has been fortunate to judge all species across the country and looks forward to working with our next generation of agriculturists. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Miss Jenna Hine. Feel like everybody's at the concession stand. Ladies and gentlemen, I do need you to please clear the area in the walkway there. We can't have a crowd because of the fire marshal, so we've got to be to the sides. And if you're up front, I do need you down on the rail, ladies and gentlemen, completely down on the rail. Thank you. And again, this is the no scream zone, and we're going to keep our arms out of the ring, Mr. Plute. Thank you for being here. Love it when we see our graduates come back. Seen Aiden here a couple days. I know there's plenty of others. Rumor had it Sydney was somewhere in the building, but I hadn't seen her yet. I don't know if y'all got, I'm sure every chapter's got those kiddos that come back. So thank you for coming back. I've seen Patrick around here. All right, your showmanship exhibitors. From Class 1, Morgan Farmer, 7 Lakes. Kyla Corey, Tompkins. From Class 2, Areli Aguilar, Morton Ranch. Aspen Fomar, Taylor. Jaden Moon Shinnekaneichner, Cinco. Class 3, Kinsey Folks. Andres Medina from Katy. Kinsey's from Taylor, my apologies. From Class 4, from Pato, Tyler Signs. I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. From Class 4, from Katy, Jaden Hamilton. Olivia Dangerfield from Taylor. Tori Lampman, Tompkins. And Class 5, from Taylor, Isabel Anderson. And from Cinco Ranch, George Ulrich. Good luck to all of these exhibitors. And remember, we're in the no scream zone on the rail, guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on the rail, you must be seated. Thank you so much. Also, we need all hands kept outside the rail. We're trying to avoid sudden movements and objects, guys. Safety first.
Well, guys, we made it. We've made it to the end of the Katy ISD show, and I told Miss Reed earlier, you kind of have to expect the unexpected, and you've kind of seen how I've worked these showmanships throughout the week, so we're going to leave it up to an element of surprise, and we're going to work this just a little bit differently. While we have all these kids out here, I do want to do one thing. I'm going to touch on what Braden said, and I know you've heard me tell the stories and talk about some of these ag teachers and administrators, but I think it is justifiable that one more time, if you are an ag teacher in this district, if you're an administrator, I want you to raise your hand. Don't hate me for this. You have to raise your hand. Bowden Hall, I see you. You have to raise your hand. Guys, these guys work tirelessly. They don't do it because they are trying to get rich. They don't do it because they're trying to get famous. But they do it because they care about your kids. I promise you that's across the board. And I know that we're missing a lot of ag teachers that are back in the barns, all of those things. Those guys, again, and women, I'm sorry. I know that it's feeling not to be included. But these young ladies and men do an awesome job preparing these kids for the real world. Just like Braden talked about earlier, we wouldn't be in the positions that we're in if we didn't have ag teachers that cared about us. Mr. Fleming's going to hate me for this, but Mr. Fleming, raise your hand. Mr. Young, are you still around here? Where's he at? I think he needs to raise his hand too, because those two guys, and I know there's a whole host of other administrators that I don't know their names, but those two are the unlucky two that get called out. We need to give those guys a round of applause for all that they do to make this show happen. Maybe they don't get known by all the kids here, but they do an incredible job making that happen. This is a very, very, very good set of showmen, and from the very first time a kid walked in the class today, I knew I was going to have my work cut out for me. My feet hurt, and my brain hurts probably just as much as my feet do, because your kids have been so, so good across the board, and it is continued over until Friday in the Sears show. Again, it is really, really tough out here, and maybe we start to split some hairs. What we're going to do is I'm going to go and take one more look. We're going to pull you out top end. We're going to rework that set, because I think there's some kids out here that can maybe to handle a challenge and need to be worked just a little bit harder than what we have out here, and I know there's not a lot of space. So before we do that, I think we need to give all these kids one more big round of applause for an awesome, awesome job well done.
All right, guys, as we get ready to wrap up the show, as Miss Hines talking to these kiddos, a few reminders. A couple things. As you exit the stands, we would ask that you would please make sure that you clean your area. The two little ladies that work here, man, they bust their heinies, but there's no need for them to have to come and pick up the trash after you. So kiddos, parents, if y'all would please make sure you take that with you when you go. Second of all, exhibitors, if you are in the auction tomorrow, reminder, the meeting is at 11 a.m., and if you are not here, you are not in the auction tomorrow. So please check on your friends. Make sure that everybody's where they need to be. They must be at the meeting to be in the auction. The barn sale for all the other animals is already open, and the steer show will be completed, and about an hour after that, the barn sale will be open for that as well. It's a great opportunity for y'all to get you some super affordable, well-fed meat. And then we've got the auction tomorrow, so we would love to see all of you out tomorrow supporting, pouring back into these kiddos. The luncheon is at 11 and the auction starts at 1, I believe. Ladies and gentlemen, we do need you to keep the the walkway clear, guys. We need y'all to either be in the stands or be completely separated. Fire marshal get real irritated. I need y'all to part the sea over there.
Well, I'm going to mimic again what I've said all week, but guys, this is tough, and these kids have been working their butts off. They've done an incredible job. They obviously have an awesome set of support staff behind them, from the people that help them get to the barns, whether they take themselves to the barns or just helping each other out, I think is awfully neat. And then we get into our showmanship, and we bring back 5 that I think could do an absolutely stellar job. Some of these calves have been up for a hot minute, and they're probably over it at this point. Like the young lady that sits in the 2-hole with that gray calf, he probably didn't lay down after he won his class, and he's come back in here to the grand drive. You've come back in here to the finals, and absolutely still you are giving it everything you've got, and that calf has not shut down on it yet, and that's commendable, I think, just in itself. So I give you props, because it's obvious you put in a lot of time and effort into that calf. Like I said, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you for the Katy ISD staff and administration for having me. Just like Braden said earlier, you don't have to agree with how I went through and did our showmanship winners throughout the week, but I hope you understand that I gave every kid a fair shake. I hope you understand that I truly sit down and I drive home in the afternoons and I say, I wonder if we could have done that just a little bit differently, or what would have happened if this would have happened. And there's some showmen throughout the week that I still will think about down the road. I've been fortunate to get to judge some of the school shows in terms of the celebrity showmanships and the progress shows that y'all do. So I knew what was going to happen to me and what I was going to be in for. But I think on the first set of showmanships that we had this week, I looked at one of the act teachers and said, hey, your celebrity showmanship and your progress show did not prepare me for what I'm about to endure. So that just shows you the quality of the kids that you have in this district. And that's because of you sitting in the stands and the ability of you to get these kids here and into this program. So just like Braden said earlier, if you're questioning whether your kid should be a part of this, it grows us and it makes us better people, because I'm still a kid in my head. So just know, you put your kid into a program like this, you are going to be exponentially paid. May not show in your bank account, but I promise you down the road, you will thank yourself for putting your kids in this FFA organization. So before, again, we talk anything about showmanship, I need one more round of applause for our ag teachers, our administrators, anybody that helps put on this show. Obviously, you've heard in my bio that this is where maybe my passion takes an extra step forward, and this is where I really start to get nitty-gritty, because this is what we do at home. I think we do it pretty much full-time. I get to do this all the time, so maybe we take this just a step further than we have the other species, and it gets to my heart just a little bit more. But guys, I wish I would have been in the position that you are, because I can assure you, you were way better sticks than I was when I was in high school, so I think that's commendable, especially at the degree that y'all do it. So I think it is extremely tight. You talk about showmanship, and we talk about big circles and straight lines and making sure that everything's right. I always talk about showmanship in a sense of a job interview. No matter what species you're shown, you want to take care of what you're doing in terms of your project, and that's the answers to the questions. Then you want to couple that with maybe having the eye contact, all of those things that make you a really good hire in a job interview, that make you set the bar just a little bit higher in terms of when you leave that interview. So we have to find a good balance balance, and I think that's what these 5 did an extremely, extremely good job of. Like I said, I know these calves are tired, so maybe they're starting to get a little bit antsy. It's because I'm taking so long, because these kids are doing an absolutely stellar job. I think it gets really, really tight on the top end, and obviously we've got 5 out here. The top end, again, is splitting hairs. We left the hog show yesterday, and I thought there was 10 young people, and we could have probably gone about 20 different ways in terms of our champion and reserve. We can say the same thing about these exhibitors out here. Little bitty nitpicky things. Like I said, who pulls them into the straightest line? Who gets the most out of a calf that maybe is just a little bit antsy? All of those things play a really, really big factor in here. So I'm going to set the mic down. I'm going to be quiet. Once again, thank you for having me. I have thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't wait to come back and watch some of these kids grow into the showmen that I know they can be. Let's give these exhibitors and every exhibitor that walked through this ring at the Katy ISD Livestock Show one more big round of applause. I'll go out and I'll get you a champion in reserve.
Your grand champion showman, Mr. Jaden Hamilton, KDFFA. I know it's exciting, guys, but please stay down on the rail in the front. The guys behind you can't see. We need everybody, if you're standing, please be down. Your reserve champion from Tompkins, Kyla Corey. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Katy ISD Steer Show. And that brings actually the show to an end itself, but as a reminder, the auction is tomorrow. We hope to see you there, cheering, supporting, spending, pouring back into these kids. The windows are open, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to buy a barn animal or you want to do an add-on. Again, let's please make sure we clean up our space. Exhibitors will see you at 11. 11.